going to have that chance because you're disrupting
I'm never going to be able to graduate with honors because you're disrupting my library time, dude. You're oh God. This is, oh my God.
The NYPD says at least 80 people were arrested after pro-Palestinian demonstrators refused to leave.
This was also insane. This was also another insane thing that took place. Feds are reviewing Columbia University protesters' visas, says the Secretary of State. They did a demonstration. Demonstration, and Columbia's own like public health and safety cops that are supposed to be there to protect the students were beating the out of students. They had like helicopters on top of Columbia swirling around. They are like, these institutions are not backing down from this. It seems to me like the less popular Israel gets, the more aggressive the admin is going to get, and the more aggressive the militant police is going to get to squash dissent by force. Like they literally are like, oh, you don't like what Israel's doing? Oh, you want to protest it? Okay, we're gonna kill you. Sorry, you just have to die now. This is how it's gonna go. Nothing else we can do about it. Nope, you have to do your 10. You have to do 3 Israel highs in the morning and 3 condom hummuses in the morning. You know, look, there's still people going, they can't protest in the building. You know, you're supposed to protest in the way that makes me feel good. Yeah, think about against, okay, and then really reconsider your careless coverage on the matter, your careless way of your careless indifference on the matter. What is this, like 18 months of endless don't protest here, don't protest there, you know? You're not allowed to protest in any way. You can only protest in a way where I think it's appropriate. Okay, well, yeah, protest in a way. Hey, by the way, you want to know how fraudulent all of this is? Because I'm not doing any of that, right? Like when I'm Twitch streaming, I'm not doing any of that. And these motherfuckers want me deplatformed too. So I guess it's actually not about how you protest. It's about just protesting at all. Do you understand? Like, think about that. I'm not going out there and overtaking student buildings or anything. And these dudes want me deplatformed too. They want me to also be silenced. So what is it? Meanwhile, the administration is entertaining revoking habeas corpus, and you're over here like, yeah, it's they shouldn't have been inside of the student building when they're protesting. Like, get the f out of here, dude. Please be for real.
Columbia University's library. This all happened last night. Today, there was tighter security on campus, and as Lisa Rosner reports, the Secretary of State says the government is already reviewing the immigration status of those allegedly involved.
Chaos inside the reading room as people were studying for their final exams at Butler Library Wednesday. Columbia University says dozens of pro-Palestinian demonstrators would not leave and vandalized the building with disturbing slogans. That, coupled with 2 public safety officers injured and crowds refusing to disperse outside the school, administrators called in the NYPD.
Public safety was the most brutal they've ever been. There were concussions, there were broken bones.
The NYPD issued 78 desk appearance tickets for criminal mischief and 2 summonses. The school's acting president said the library reopened Thursday.
Columbia unequivocally rejects anti-Semitism. We will come together as a community to consider what civil disobedience actually is.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio posted on X, "We are reviewing the visa status of the trespassers."
Unless they take stronger actions, it won't be the last time, regardless of what they do. If it's, you know, vandalizing or just making a protest where they're chanting Intifada and from the river to the sea and all these things, it's all wrong.
Public safety stood their ground, did not let people leave without showing identification.
Parts of campus are already closed off as the school preps for graduation, and Thursday access was limited to those with campus ID or approved guests of faculty. Maria Del Grasso worked with Columbia Palestine Solidarity Coalition. She says this about the acting university president's comments.
Completely inaccurate, and it's absolutely to cover up the actions of public safety and the action of yet again calling the NYPD.
Columbia's president says she believes that most of the demonstrators involved are not affiliated with the University Heights. Lisa Rosner, CBS News, New York.
Yeah, man. Let's...
Hey, they're trying to disperse in the library, and you guys have locked them in. Let the protesters out. You've locked them in. They've been barricaded up there. They want to disperse. Let them out. 400,000 dead. 400,000 dead. And this is how you treat us. You consider this an inconvenience. 400,000 dead. Your finals. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Sin and Marxism had yeah, I was making deals. I was making I was getting le boscol. I was getting le boscol. They're literally showing students chanting "Let us out," and then they're saying they wouldn't let us leave. Just blatant lies. Yeah.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Shut us down. We're not going to stop. No matter what, we're not going to stop.
Yeah. Excuse me. I am very offended and scared, and also feel like you're doing an anti-Semitism by engaging in an act of civil disobedience in a disorderly manner. Okay. And for me, I think you should get there for this, because my feelings, I'm not even a Columbia student, but my feelings are more important. Okay. This also being conducted at Columbia makes it even funnier, because Columbia has a history of violent suppression and protests, which they now have made it a big part of their history of, like, you know, we allow our student protests were brave and brilliant for protesting against the Vietnam War, for protesting against apartheid South Africa, but not apartheid Israel. It seems for apartheid Israel, we've decided it's we've moved on. You can't do that. Ugh.
Don't worry, as soon as we're able to let you guys back in, we'll let you go. Yo, bro, is everybody? I need to get my stuff, bro. I gotta get my stuff.
Trump officials seeks to bring first white Afrikaners to the U.S. as refugees. The rapid relocation of Afrikaners, who President Trump says have been racially persecuted in South Africa, stands in stark contrast with a virtual shutdown of all of the refugee admissions. These guys need to do, they're literally spelling it out. Like, they're saying we are a white supremacist, white nationalist, fascist administration, okay? And that's it. Like, there's not really, I don't know why there's any sort of, like, discourse entertaining this. And yeah, a part of that fascism is absolutely to vociferously defend the Jewish supremacist ethno-state of Israel, okay? It's not like a one-to-one comparison with Adolf Hitler in that regard. It's just, it's still fascist. How strange for people to deny this reality. God, I hate this fucking, I hate what America is becoming. I think it's because, like, they no longer even try to shelter it. Like, there is no longer even dog whistles at this point. It's just like fucking bullhorns, you know? Bullhorn supremacist attitudes. It's so fucking gross. Here, by the way, this is the other side of the story. Here's Stephen Miller. Says the White House is looking into suspending habeas corpus, which protects people from unlawful detentions. A lot of it happens on whether the courts do the right thing or not.
Hold on, there's a question back there first.
I have two quick questions. First, President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not. At the end of the day, Congress passed a body of law known as the Immigration and Nationality Act, which stripped Article III courts, that's the judicial branch, of jurisdiction over immigration.
No, dude, it's chill. Your buddy Bradley Martin said this won't happen. Dude, I had a conversation with Bradley Martin recently on the phone, like a private conversation. He is checked out. He is not. He's like, I did not. Like, this is everything that I thought. Bradley Martin is a part of the 1% that voted for Donald Trump that actually does not like the vote, for the record. He's in that tiny 1% that's like, yeah, dude, I think it's the government. I didn't realize that it's like party differences didn't make any distinction whatsoever. Like, I think I just hate the fucking government, dude.
Immigration cases. So Congress actually passed, it's called jurisdiction stripping legislation. It passed a number of laws that say that the Article III courts aren't even allowed to be involved in immigration cases. Many of you probably don't know this. I'll give you a good example. Are you familiar with the term temporary protected status, or TPS, right? So by statute, the courts are stripped of jurisdiction from overruling a presidential determination or a secretarial determination on TPS when the Secretary of Homeland Security makes that determination. So when Secretary Noem terminated TPS for the illegals that Biden flew into the country, when courts stepped in, they were violating explicit language that Congress had enacted, saying they have no jurisdiction.
God, Stephen Miller is one of the grossest villains in the admin too. Oh, cool, just monarchy? Not even like a constitutional monarchy. Okay, we're talking straight up, no due process, no court system monarchy.
So it's not just, the courts aren't just at war with the executive branch. The courts are at war, these radical rogue judges, with the legislative branch as well too. So all of that will inform the choices the president ultimately makes, yes.
Mr. Miller.
Habeas corpus has been suspended only 4 times. Civil War, when Congress authorized the combat Ku Klux Klan vigilantism during Reconstruction, in the Philippines during a 1905 insurrection, in Hawaii after Pearl Harbor. Incredible stuff. We're doing absolute monarchy. Anyway, apparently there was a back and forth here that made it to Fox News. Let's take a look.
But she doesn't have an ID. She has a CYD, but not her press.
We're press and students. We can't.
So I actually said no press right now at this time.
What if we just go into students?
No students are even being allowed.
Can you tell us your name, sir? Sir, we need to know who we got this information. Sir, we need to know who we got this information from.
Instagram got this on Twitter, and they got 3 followers.
I hope you get expelled.
Let's go.
I hope you get expelled. This is our school. We're paying $90,000 a year to go here.
Too, dummy.
Yeah, you don't have the right to take over. Like, we're paying to be here.
Are we taking?
We're paying.
Paying to be
You don't care. Yeah, exactly. If you want to
make sense, bro. Say something that makes sense.
Go mess up a few things in the street. You can have a professor.
I'm graduating with honors, bitch.
So?
I fucking did my work. I care about this too.
I'm never gonna have that chance because you're disrupting.
I'm never gonna be able to graduate with honors because you're disrupting my library time, dude. You're oh God. This is, oh my God.
Got it harder. Hit the books, bro.
What do you mean?
Why are you doing it to us? Hit the books if you care so much. Yeah, bro, this is the fucking library.
You're not allowing.
This is where the information is stored.
You're not letting us have the chance that you had to study.
This is such bullshit too. There's a million fucking libraries. The reason why she wants to go to this one is specifically so she can film this and then say, I'm a Jewish student who's pro-Israel, and these guys are being anti-Semitic to me by not letting me into the library. Meanwhile, the reason why she can't go into the library is not because the students are protesting in the library. It's because, as you saw, cops are not letting anyone into the library, and they've locked the students into the library themselves. Okay? Yeah, I can't get into the library on this one specific day, and guess what? It was my honors. The only information that was stored in this one specific library in this one specific day is the information that I needed to get my honors, my honors graduation finals, and you fucking cooked it for me.
We're never gonna have that.
You're ugly. I didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, you have no arguments. You have no excuse. This is disgusting.
And it's a little insulting. No, but I need my stuff. No, I need my stuff. I'm like waiting at the front gate. Sir, 我在等。
Oh, hi. Oh my gosh. Hi, yeah. How did you guys get here so fast?
So that was the scene, and it was sickening at Columbia University.
Sickening. They're protesting a fucking genocide. I cannot stress this enough. I know we're in the United States of America, and we are sheltered from the immediate impact of such things. Okay, but I cannot stress. Anti-war protesters did this in the past as well. Anti-apartheid protesters did this in the past as well, and anti-apartheid, anti-genocide protesters are doing it now. This is a normal part of being a fucking student on as woke a college campus as Columbia University. It's sickening. This kind of sickening chance. Ay, ay, ay.
Yesterday at their library, over 100 anti-Israeli protesters stormed the Butler Library on campus in support of...
Yeah, dude, you're in France. They call this a gathering. This isn't even a protest. I know. No fucking trash cans on fire. No throwing blows with cops. In France, they wouldn't even call this. They wouldn't even call this a gathering. They'd just be like, "This is a couple of people that got together and said they were upset."
Of Mahmoud Khalil, with over 80 being arrested, the university responding by saying, quote, "Disruptions to our academic activities will not be tolerated and are violations of our rules and policies. This is especially unacceptable while our students study and prepare for final exams." Eden Yadigar is a Columbia student that witnessed the protest. She was studying, believe it or not, for finals on the first floor, and she joins us now. Eden, what was it like for you as a Jewish student seeing this happen again right in front of you?
Another pogrom in the books, folks. Let me tell you, it's like Night of the Long Knives is basically this. This is what happened.
Thanks for having me. Like you said, I, along with hundreds, if not thousands of other students, were just trying to study for finals and complete our coursework when dozens of masked vandals, the vast majority of whom we believe are students, flooded into the library, chanting "Free Palestine," calling for an intifada revolution, and calling in Arabic for one state, one Palestinian state from the river to the sea.
That's so messed up. I can't believe it. I hope you're okay, Eden. I hope you're all right. I'm glad you survived the vicious scare tactics. Oh my God. This is they were screaming in Arabic, folks. Okay, which is the terrorism language. The screaming in Arabic, by the way, is just intifada revolution. There's only one solution, intifada revolution. That's the scary Arabic language that they were deploying, the language of terrorism.
Not only was it absolutely shocking and intimidating, but it was disrupting one of the most basic functions of the university. And it's ridiculous to me that almost 2 years later, since October 7th, since these sort of disruptions have become commonplace, that this happened during finals week. But it does mark a pretty notable shift in how Columbia handled it, because Columbia brought in the NYPD within 4 hours to arrest these students. And I am cautiously optimistic that they will be held accountable. Every single one of them should be expelled, if not, expelled immediately, because they forced the evacuation of the library. Students were trying to study, and we weren't able to do that because of this.
By the way, Jewish students did this during Nazi Germany's concentration camp schemes, right? Like they did this, and they also were militarily suppressed in the American on the American side of things, for the record. So there is a long history of student activism, and I suspect that she probably would not have an issue with that, right? She wouldn't take issue with that. That'd be ridiculous. Also, one note, once again, expel them, expel them, expel them, deplatform them, fire them, deplatform them. Please, deport them, deport them, deport them. Americans are so disgusting, the way they fucking approach this subject, where they're like, from Israeli right-wing Telegram channels. Oh, yeah. I'm going to talk about the Donald Trump stuff in a little bit. Don't worry. Same Eden Yadigar did this. Eden Yadigar is a student at Columbia. She dressed up like a skunk after several of her peers were hospitalized in a chemical attack incident on campus. Classic.
Small group of radical, anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish vandals.
We're about to find out how many are students. And with the security, you tell me, should be saluted because some got beat up and some got hurt and they stood there. But why did it take 5 hours for the NYPD to come? What was the issue there? I'm sure the NYPD could have been there sooner.
It's a great question. That's what I'm wondering as well. In comparison to timelines we've seen in the past with last year's building occupation of Hamilton Hall with the encampment, this was record speed for Columbia. And, you know, I really appreciate that because it means that we were able to go back to normal campus life, back to studying sooner. But it is ridiculous that accountability is as difficult as it is. After these protesters stormed into this room, the main reading room in Butler Library, public safety demanded that they show identification, show their Columbia ID.
Yeah, I hate that they just didn't start immediately. I hate that they didn't drone strike the Columbia Library. She's like, I don't understand. This is how we do things normally. This is very shocking. It's shocking to me that the militant came 5 hours later and they didn't immediately drone strike the library. I don't understand why they didn't do that. It's very confusing. It's usually how things are supposed to go. Yeah, maybe Eric Adams is Hamas.
And then they would simply be able to leave. And these protesters ended up claiming that they were being held hostage by public safety because they refused to identify themselves, which is not only just ridiculous and completely opposed to common sense, but also
yeah. Soon after Robert Burke led an anti-Nazi protest in Columbia in 1936, he was expelled. In 2025, history repeats itself over and over. Robert Burke was a junior at Columbia University who dared to protest the administration's ties to Nazi Germany in 1936. Organizing a group of 300 students, he led a demonstration in front of the President Nicholas Butler's home to oppose the university's support of an event that propagated Nazi policies and beliefs on college campuses. What transpired after that evening is a pattern of severe punishment and silencing of dissent levied against nonviolent student protesters who demonstrate against genocidal regimes, and is happening again at Columbia. Soon after Adolf Hitler rose to power, Germany's civil service law was enacted in April 1933. His goal was to remove civil servants of Jewish descent or non-Aryan backgrounds from their roles as teachers, professors, and government employees. Famously, Albert Einstein left Germany, Nazi Germany, in 1933 as a direct consequence of this legislation. The law is also sought to fire or remove any individual who refused to abide by Nazi beliefs. The party took a special interest in German universities. One such institution, Heidelberg University, supported the Nazi regime and proactively removed scores of professors and students for racial and political reasons. Just 1 month after the civil service law went into effect, university faculties and students took part in book burnings on Heidelberg's campus. In February 1936, Heidelberg University invited representatives from universities in the U.S. and Europe to attend a 550th anniversary celebration of its founding, while Oxford, Cambridge, and others rejected the invitation and hoped their absence would serve as a condemnation of Nazi attacks upon academic freedom. Columbia University, shockingly to absolutely no one, agreed to attend, setting the stage for anti-fascist protests on its campus. Columbia accepted the invitation to Heidelberg University. They said that they would send a representative to Heidelberg because it is the custom of Columbia University to be represented whenever conveniently possible at all celebrations of educational institutions here and abroad. They continued, Columbia will be giving its approval to those who have suppressed academic freedom, perverted the content and teachings of all branches. This is the students saying this, okay? They said, we'll be in fact bestowing a benediction upon the spoliation of education and culture by the Hitler regime. If you recall, some of the first attacks from the Nazi seizing power came towards cultural institutions and educational institutions, institutions of higher learning, where they basically sanitized these institutions of any sort of Judeo-Bolshevik values. Marxist academia, Marxist literature, Jewish academia, Jewish literature, Jewish academics in general were deliberately taken out from the lexicon, taken out from the teaching staff. They did this, okay? And of course, Columbia University played a role in normalizing this behavior from the United States of America. So the students, Burke leads an anti-Nazi protest at Columbia President's house. Before Robert Burke was expelled from Columbia University, he was the president-elect of his junior class and a leading member of America's Student Union at the university, a native of Youngstown, Ohio. He was disgruntled by Columbia's decision to join Heidelberg's anniversary celebration, as well as the administration's refusal to meet with the protesting students. It should be noted that the New York Times reported on April 28th that Joseph Goebbels himself would be in attendance at the event. The article reads, propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels and other Nazi functionaries will be among the most prominent hosts to scholars and scientists who have been invited to represent the universities of the world. Good thing the USA has no culture. One less thing Trump has to do. This is U.S. culture. In other words, it had to become clear to students that this engagement with Heidelberg University was not simply an academic courtesy, but rather a tacit endorsement of the Nazi takeover of universities and colleges. Nearly 45 days after President Butler promised to meet with students and reconsider the invitation, Philip Hayden told the student committee that Dr. Butler has nothing to see the committee about. The university administration targeted Burke for leading anti-fascist protests. On May 21st, Burke met with Dean Hawks and summarized their meetings as follows. Hawks confronted me with the accusation of having been a leader of demonstration, which was in exceedingly poor taste, rowdy, and had violated the sanctity of Dr. Butler's home. He told me that someone had shouted profane remarks about Dr. Butler and that someone had left picket signs in the foyer of Dr. Butler's house. I told the dean that I hadn't heard the profanity and that I was sorry that someone had left picket signs. I maintained that as far as picketing Dr. Butler's house went and speaking in front of it, we were within our rights and well within the bounds of decency. This became our major point of difference. Notice how nothing has changed? Pearl clutching about the ways in which people were protesting against Nazi allegiances demonstrated by the college that they are attending instantly got the same exact response as it does right now. But hey, have you considered that they were making students of German descent that had neo-Nazi, or not neo-Nazi, Nazi sentiment uncomfortable? Not just students of German descent, mind you, students of German descent that like Nazi Germany and what Nazi Germany is doing. The fatherland. It's really messed up. Burke said he warned Dean Hawks that his expulsion would have a chilling effect on student speech at Columbia. I told the dean that if I were expelled, it would appear to be the student body that this action was an attempt to frighten the student union out of any action of significance and to frighten politically conscious students so they would not take part in ASU affairs. 3 days later, the American Student Union sent a letter to Dean Hawks to apologize for any obscene language that may have been used during the demonstration outside of Dr. Butler's house. 1 week after their initial meeting, Dean Hawks again confronted Robert Burke and accused him of distorting what he said during their previous meeting. In a short letter sent from Dean Hawks himself, Robert Burke was expelled from Columbia University on June 16, 1936. Look at that. The reason why I think it's important to take note of this and to stress this is because Columbia is doing the same thing that they've done time and time again. They are aligning with power. They are aligning with the fascist administration of Israel. They are presenting their students who are pro-Israel as like victims in this process, while simultaneously doing the same thing that they've done historically to anti-war and anti-genocide and anti-apartheid protesters and anti-Nazi protesters. It is the exact same thing over and over again. It's not different this time. It's the same exact thing. So if the reason why I always stress the importance of learning history is so that we do not repeat those mistakes. But a lot of people, I think, close their eyes and ears to this kind of reality because, well, this time it's different, you know? This time it's different. It must be different this time. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it because it was good back then, and what Columbia did was wrong back then. But right now, Columbia is actually doing something good because it suits my current purposes, my current interests. People would rather have all of the nuisances be treated militarily rather than have to deal with their own internal contradictions about supporting a fucking apartheid state that is doing a genocide, supporting a fascist ideology that is Zionism. In any case, let's get to the Trump-Netanyahu back and forth because this is a big point of contention.